rotate X. We're going to go to frame 87. We're going to highlight one key in the curve, go to curves, sorry, not curves, keys, insert key tool, and middle mouse click on that line, and we will get a key. Now this may not be the correct interpolation of points. I don't think it is, because if I look, this has to match up in a way with this one. Now the one in the, actually you can't see it, but if I go to the Z, you can see what we have is this very slow, kind of slowing down, and I want something similar in this. So what I might do is I'm going to bring this down. Now if you want to move keys in one axis or the other, all you have to do is you click on the key. By that I mean left mouse, shift, left mouse click, and then you press on the shift and you middle mouse. Make sure I want to move these down, so I have to make sure I've got the move manipulator selected. So shift, middle mouse, I'm just going to drag it down slightly, because I want to make this curve more shallow, shallower, sorry, bad English, so that the curve is going. See what I'm saying? I'm going to look at this, and you just eyeball it, see if it's right. That looks about right to me. That doesn't look like it's sliding. So I've just slowed it down a bit, and there we go. Right, let's see this. Then it may be a little fast. I'm looking at it. It looks like it's skidding a little bit. It's a little fast. So I go back to this. I can just shift, middle mouse click, drag down. Let's see if that's working better. That looks better. That looks better to me. Maybe a fraction down. So shift, middle mouse click, drag a little bit down. Let's do this now. Sometimes it's good making things a little bit bigger so you can see what you're doing. Still slight. Now see, if I look at that closely, I can see that in a way, see if I look at it closely, it's actually sliding too much now. So this is what I mean. You have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery and try to get a thing to work. So I'm just going to turn those curves on again, and this time I'm just going to make the rotate X a little bit bigger. Maybe there. Maybe that'll do it. I'll try it again. And you end up getting a feeling for this. That doesn't look too bad. That looks okay. Okay, we'll go with this. It might be able to be improved, but still heavy. Okay, so those are the principal rotations. Now we're going to look at deformations, right? Okay, so getting back to our setting like this, we're going to look at this. We'll do most of the deformations in this window. So we got this, so far we got this, and then it just ends, yeah? And you can add little bits in, like the one I showed you at the start, where the rendered one, the ball kind of goes forward and goes backward slightly. There are other things you can put in. Okay, so now we're going to look at the deformations anyway. So the deformations we're going to do with this. So when the ball comes down, we go like this. Now there's no deformations at all until the ball hits the ground. But here's what happens. So the frame before the ball hits the ground, the ball is still undeformed, yeah? Nothing's happened to it. So this is what I'm going to use to do the deformations, the top control. So here I just press S, and you can see it gives me a key. Then the next frame, the ball's on the ground. Now if the ball's on the ground, it will deform. So I have to press the ball. Oops, I don't know what's happening there. Sorry, press the ball in a bit, not too far. It's always difficult to know. I mean, if you're doing 2D cartoon animation, you might go quite far. And then the ball comes out again, and then it's going to extend. And then when it gets to the top of the extension, it will come back again. Now, one way to get the deformation back to the normal point is you have these translate Y's here. Now they're all zeroed out at the beginning on the rig, so if you see something with numbers in it, if I press 0, I can get this back to normal. Actually, let's see what's happening here. Bounce slightly. I'm just going to move this key in a little bit. If you want to move a key, I realize I put this a frame too far ahead. You can literally left mouse click with shift on and drag, and then pull that key that way. See what I'm saying? So you just go like that. So anyway, so we've got so left mouse and shift will give you this. Left mouse and shift, and you can select stuff and copy it and what have you. Okay, so the ball's coming like this, bounces here, bounces up. Now another thing, you've got this other control here, which is this, and you might think, what the hell is this for? I think I might have said what it was for in a previous video. Well, this is to orientate the squash and stretch. So initially there's no squash and stretch. Here it's fine because it's just squashing it straight up and down. But here, so important thing is try and key the rotations before you make the key, because otherwise Maya will try and interpolate. If I don't make a key here first at 0, so I go to the rotations and key them, what will happen is Maya will have this thing turned from the beginning right up here. So I make the key here and go to the next frame, and I'm going to turn this slightly just so that squish is turned this way. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm going to go, and maybe I'll give it 2 frames to 0 out, and I'm going to go and 0 out here. So then you have this bounce up, and then it's going to come down again. Again, nothing, nothing, nothing. So here, the frame just by going to this control again, the frame just before it starts to squash, I make sure that there's a key. Then I'm going to make a key here, squash it down a bit, not so much, maybe just this much. Then I'm going to squash it out a bit, pull it the other way, yeah, and then I'm going to go to the next frame and 0 it out. So we'll have this bounce, yeah, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this control, which is obviously quite important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this control keyed here at the frame where it's hitting the ground, key, and then I'm going to turn it in the direction of the bounce. Maybe it's an idea for me to be doing this with the, if I just select this key, I'm going to show you with the motion trail selected. So you can see that what I'm doing is I'm turning this in the direction that the ball is bouncing in. So here, sorry, not this one, this one, I'm turning this in that direction so it bounces along that axis, you see, along this kind of curved line. And then I'll go to the next, and I'm going to maybe two keys later I'll 0 this out again so it's back to normal. Yeah, so we've got this, yeah, and it comes down again, and then again. Now people might be saying, one mistake that people often make when they're doing these things and they're not used to animating is they'll go here and they'll put a key on this frame for when the ball squashes, but they'll forget to put a key before it. So what that means is that from this key, frame 38, if I forget to put a key, see, I've squashed it on frame 42 as opposed to frame 4, you know, but I haven't keyed it as an unsquashed in frame 41. So what that means is that the animation, this ball will start to squash up in the air all the way down. It will start compressing before 42, which obviously doesn't make sense, because what makes this ball squash is the contact with the ball and the ground. So here, if I go to this translate Y, I should make sure that this is unsquashed. I mean, the ball isn't squashing much here, so it's hard to see, but if you're squashing something quite a lot, it can look very weird. And then the ball squashes, of course, in the opposite direction here, and I have to use these to make sure it's squashing along this axis. Oop, see, look how easy it is. See, I've animated this box here, but here I've forgotten to animate it straight, so that it's not, because you need to make sure that the ball is animating in such a way that it makes sense. Okay, so it bounces here, and then when it gets to the top, it's completely unsquashed, and this also is completely zeroed out. And for the last one, I'm not going to bother with any bouncing, and we can kind of see. So what happens now when we look at this? I'll just turn the motion trails off. Is you have this, and also the NURBS curves, is you have a little bit of deformation. Now there may actually be a little bit too much in this. You shouldn't note. I mean, the reality is there's always a tendency to put too much on. I'll have a look at it on this view here.